Total War Three Kingdoms asks you to take on the role of one of 11 legendary warlords and unite China under one banner. I'm going over each of the starting warlords to introduce who they were and how Creative Assembly has brought them to life in the game, and then revealing how it all panned out for them historically. Ma Teng, the Guardian of the West, is painted in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms as the last protector of the Han Empire, a resourceful commander whose time surviving in the Gobi Desert and Tibetan Plateau prepared him for a lifetime of difficult campaigns, where his loyalty to his empire would lead him to fight against the hated enemy of the Han people at any cost. But the actual Ma Teng is far more complicated. Ma Teng was a descendant of the great general who tames the waves, Ma Yun, who spoke an idiom studied throughout China in the period, and still deserves some contemplation today. Drawing a tiger improperly results in a dog. Ma Teng's father failed to heed his ancestors' lesson. He was dismissed from his Han posting and exiled to the edge of China, forced to marry into the lowly Xiang people to survive. Ma Teng was born into poverty and spent his youth gathering and selling firewood from the mountains just to stay alive. During the Yellow Turban Rebellion, the Xiang people of Liang province rose up against the local Han government. Ma Teng, undoubtedly spurred by his father, volunteered as a foot soldier for the Han to put down the revolt. A life of toil had made Ma Teng strong and hardy, and he quickly distinguished himself on the battlefield and rose through the ranks. But the Han's treatment of the Xiang people was ruthless, and Ma Teng, half Xiang himself, could not have been unmoved by their plight. When his own commanding officer was killed in battle, Ma Teng defected, joining the Xiang Rebellion, led by the charismatic Han Sui against the mighty Han Empire. Soon, Ma Teng realized that the Han's control of the distant Liang province was tenuous at best, and decided to set himself up as a co-ruler of the Silk Road alongside Han Sui. Needing a secure western border and the trade and commerce that comes with it, the Han Empire was forced to allow them near autonomy, an arrangement even the tyrant Dong Zhuo was forced to respect, naming Ma Teng the General of the West and Han Sui the Protector of the West, and leveraging them into an alliance against the coalition forces at the game's start. Ma Teng is adept at surviving through difficult situations and worse environments. Keenly understanding the importance of military logistics, all armies in his faction gain bonus military supplies, and when encamped, his troops will forage for food, meaning his armies are always equipped to push forward in a strategy of aggressive expansion regardless of the terrain. Ma Teng's faction can also construct the unique Xiliang supply lines building chain, one of the few food production chains that can be built in commandery capitals, created to help shuttle supplies across the vast deserts of western China. It also institutes regional cavalry patrols, which improve the supplies for armies in adjacent commanderies and depletes the supplies of any invading forces. He also gains access to the unique Xi'an cavalry, a culture of shepherds and horsemen uniquely adept to tackle the difficult terrain of western China. Ma Teng uses all of this to ensure his control of the Silk Road remains unchallenged, as he gains increased income from the trade of silk and spice resources. But unlike every other warlord in Total War Three Kingdoms, Ma Teng begins the game allied with Dong Zhuo. The Han Empire supported Ma Teng's rise to power, and though the east of China may be in turmoil, the west is now only nominally under Han control. So as Ma Teng fights for Dong Zhuo, he really fights for his own success. Ma Teng has the advantage of a close friendship with the warlord Han Sui, and together they govern Liang province and protect China's northwestern border against invasion. Their tight-knit bond and focus on a strong military alliance goes a long way to ensure stability in the region. Ma Sao, Ma Teng's son and heir, is just a child at the start of the campaign, but many feel he already has the potential to become a mighty warrior in his own right. At the start of the game, Ma Teng is at war with the Yellow Turbans in Wudu Commandery. The player will have to conquer the entire commandery to gain a strong foothold in the west. Once the rebels in the area have been dispatched, Ma Teng will have to decide whether to drive his conquest south across the mountains or fight Han Sui for sole control of the northwest. Ma Tong's dilemma triggers when Dong Zhuo meets his end. Without their tyrannical leader, civil war breaks out between the loyalists and the separatists of Dong Zhuo's faction. This leaves Ma Tong to choose whether to join the conflict himself, and opens him up to a huge war right on his doorstep, but with the opportunity to free the child emperor. Or you can always avoid the conflict and leave Dong Zhuo's riven faction to its own fate. Regardless, on the far western edge of China, he's uniquely poised to build a strong economic base and strike out from it. Historically, after Dong Zhuo's death, Ma Tong and Han Sui saw the civil war between the Han powers as an opportunity to capture the capital of Chang'an and finally claim the west of China for themselves. But after a resounding defeat outside the city walls, they again retreated to the remote safety of Liang province. With Cao Cao's power growing in the east, the wily warlord realized he could not fight Yuan Shao to the north, Liu Bei to the south, and Ma Tong in the west. So he offered an alliance to the lords of the Silk Road. Ma Tong's son, Ma Cao, now fully grown and a powerful warrior as predicted, was sent to assist Cao Cao and quickly earned his own renown in the campaign against the sons of Yuan Shao. But back in Liang province, Ma Tong and Han Sui found themselves unwilling to share their corner of the world any longer, and fighting broke out that quickly turned personal, with women and children becoming targets of war. To stop the bloodshed, Cao Cao required both men submit to his authority. Ma Tong was appointed the head of the palace guard, and effectively forcibly relocated to Yi. Ma Cao's rebellion fails, and he spends the rest of his life fighting Cao Cao, eventually joining the banner of Liu Bei and becoming one of the great 5 tiger generals of China. But the cost of revenge was enormous. By the end of his life, only one other member remained of the Ma family. The rest, over 200 of his clan, had been hunted down by Cao Cao. So what kind of a player is Ma Tong for? Ma Tong is a born survivor from the edge of the world, driven by a will that withstands the harshest conditions of the arid plains of China. Creative assembly in the records of the Three Kingdoms paint him as a man loyal to the Han dynasty, but his loyalty lay with the Xiang people in the province of Liang, and he and his family fought for them in their own free corner of the world until their dying breaths. So if loyalty matters to you, then Ma Tong is the perfect warlord for your first game. Thanks for watching, and you can find the other stories of the warlords of the Three Kingdoms on this channel.